Hi, I'm Ellie Ramirez,
And I'm Collins Bryant.
and this is a sociological perspective of the Gallagher family and how conflict theory reigns true throughout the hit TV show Shameless. So just to give you a little background on who each person is in the family, here's some brief descriptions of each member of the Gallagher clan. Firstly, Frank Gallagher is a biological father of all 6 of the children seen in this photo. Although throughout most of the series he is geographically close to the family home where all 6 children reside, Frank is considered to be an absent father. Frank has extreme substance issues, including alcohol, marijuana, painkillers, or pretty much any type of brain-altering substance he can get his hands on, which is the main cause of his constant lack of fatherly presence. He has no fixed income or job of any kind, as he is seen throughout the series obtaining money in a multitude of different ways, including cashing dead relatives' Medicaid checks, begging on the streets with the baby of the family, Liam, scamming bypassers, and even stealing from his own children. Next is Fiona. Fiona is the eldest of the Gallagher bunch, and she runs the household pretty much all on her own. Fiona works hard to make sure her siblings get to school, have food on the table, and can simply survive the rough life of growing up on the south side of Chicago. Fiona had to quit high school in order to pay the bills and provide for her brothers and sisters. She has a major character development throughout the 11 seasons of Shameless, as she works on several different jobs, trying as hard as she can to make her way to the top. The eldest boy is Lip, legally known as Philip. Lip is the smartest Gallagher, and his level of niche intelligence makes him the prime candidate to be the one of the only 6 most likely to succeed in life. Not only is Lip book smart, but street smart as well. He tends to be the sibling that can bail any of the others out of whatever trouble they get themselves into. Before he goes off to college, Lip works hard to provide for his family by tutoring private school kids. The next Gallagher family member is Ian. Ian is the shyest of the bunch with a big heart, but is definitely the least mentally stable. Ian gets diagnosed with bipolar disorder early on into Shameless, and he is shown throughout the show battling with not only his mental health, but his sexuality as well. Debbie is the youngest girl of the Gallaghers and longs for a stable motherly figure in her life. The series shows Debbie's struggles of becoming a woman through puberty, fitting in, and growing up. Carl is the rowdiest of the bunch and all of his siblings, and he is seen throughout the show putting action figures in the microwave, dealing drugs at only 13 years old, and even spending time in juvie. Carl portrays the rebel child as he tries to give off a wannabe gangster personality. He tends to give his siblings a lot of trouble. The youngest Gallagher, although he may not look like one, is baby Liam. The show follows Liam from whenever he was 2 years old all the way up until he's around 13. So the audience really gets to see his character go through many changes growing up in this beyond dysfunctional family. Throughout Shameless, Liam tends to get in his own head and mind his own business. Although all of his siblings are white, it is proven in season 3 of the series that Liam does, in fact, have the same biological mother and biological father as the rest of his siblings. Growing up, Liam struggles with learning that he is viewed differently by outsiders of the family due to his race and learning more about black culture. As you can tell, the amount of the extreme dynamics throughout the family portrayed in Shameless are able to sociologically provide a large scope for in-depth analysis and exploration.
We chose the conflict theory to sociologically analyze the Gallagher family best for several reasons. As stated by Cohen, the conflict theory, or perspective, is defined as the belief that inequality and that the conflict that it causes is what drives history forward. In its moderate form, it argues that simply expressing conflict over differences is often the best way to arrive at positive changes in families, organizations, and societies at large. This theory was developed by the findings of Karl Marx, and defined theorists tend to focus on the competing interests of family members to understand a family problem, which can be found on page 18 of the textbook as well. Why we chose this theory is because the Gallagher family runs on conflict and chaos, which we felt was best described through the conflict theory. The Gallaghers have one main goal in mind: surviving in a life where you were born into poverty, yet their individual interest and conflict problem. Solving approaches are different, very different, because the natural hierarchy of parent-child relationships in which the parent governs the child is non-existent with this family. Conflict often arises within the siblings. These conflicts force the family to come together and problem solve in order to survive, leading to positive changes within the family, which is perfectly described by the conflict theory. The entirety of Shameless takes place on the south side of Chicago, portrayed in the show as the low-income, poverty-stricken side of the city. Throughout the 11 seasons, the show covers an unknown amount of years, estimated to be 11 to 14 years. The two biological parents of both children are Frank and Monica, who were never married. Monica makes a few appearances throughout the long timeline of the show, but is mainly absent on her own wild adventures. She has bipolar disorder, which she genetically passed down to Ian. There are many different relationship high and lows between every main character in Shameless, but some are more notable from a sociological perspective than others. Every one of the children hates their father, Frank, but Fiona hates him the most and puts her foot down much more than the others due to his lack of ability to parent the siblings, forcing the responsibility to fall on her shoulders. Ian and Lip have the closest bond out of the family because they both have had to step up as father figures to their younger siblings, and they are closest in age. Fiona and Debbie have the same love-hate relationship that a mother and her twin child would have. Debbie looks up to Fiona and wants to grow up fast like she did, but Fiona just wants to enjoy her childhood for as long as she can because she knows that the responsibilities that come with growing up too soon. Debbie and Carl hate each other because they are close in age and Carl is the annoying little brother. They tend to fight a lot throughout the show's entirety. Liam's only notable relationship comes slightly later in the show because he had to learn from a young age how to be independent and to stay out of the family drama. Frank sees Liam as an easy target to manipulate into helping him run scams and schemes, which Liam then falls into. Yet, at the same time, Liam doesn't mind because at least he's being paid attention to by one of the family members. The closest things these 6 children have to stable adults in their lives are their next-door neighbors, Kev and V. They own the local unsuccessful dive bar and try and help Fiona raise her siblings as much as they can, but they themselves have their own issues and instabilities. With no parental income, the Gallagher family falls at the bottom of the barrel regarding socioeconomic status and class. They are considered to be teetering in the poverty line in the lower class, which contributes to the social status as a family. Shildrick and Roussel say poverty and material deprivation are important drivers of stigma and shame.
The first episode of Shameless that popped in my head when I was thinking of relating the conflict theory to the Gallagher family was Season 9, Episode 13 of the series. In this episode, Liam picks a higher income neighborhood corner a few blocks down from the Gallagher family home to create a booming business, a harmful lemonade stand. One of the residents of the street, which today would be considered a Karen, drives past the lemonade stand several times, threatening to call the police and shutting him down for loitering. This was clearly a racially charged threat, and she continued to come back over and over and toss out the lemonade and harass Liam. In response, Fiona rallied her family and the neighborhood to strike a counterattack on the woman as they proceeded to blast music and have a block party right in front of her house late at night in an attempt to disturb the woman while she slept. The result of this episode was the Karen moving out of the neighborhood and apologizing to Liam. This scene shows how conflict between two socioeconomic classes creates a sense of community within one as the lower class band together to fight the entitled, leading to a positive outcome as shown through the conflict theory.
The next scene from this series that demonstrates the theory of conflict is Season 10, Episode 12, where Ian marries the love of his life, Mickey. The gay couple had finally came out to the rest of the Gallagher family and decided to get married. Mickey comes from a traditionally racist, homophobic, and broken home, resulting in his father's burning down their wedding venue the day of the wedding. This absolutely crushed the couple, but Ian's little sister Debbie stepped up to the plate to save the day. Debbie spent the entire day as only a teenager rallying the whole family to call every place in the city within their extremely low budget price range to make sure the wedding could commence. She finds a homophobic Polish bar to hold the wedding at and pulls off an elaborate scheme to shield the owners from knowing that they were hosting a gay wedding. Frank even shows up to the event and acts as an ally and father figure to Ian as he supports him through his gay marriage. These factors made the wedding even better because the family came together and made it work, creating a harmonious event where the multiple character types all had a great time and seemed genuinely happy. Although their original wedding venue was burnt down, that specific conflict produced an extremely happy ending for the Gallaghers, which adds to the conflict theory's main point of the need for conflict in society.
The last scene we felt was necessary to portray the conflict theory throughout Shameless is a heartbreaking one. The Gallaghers decide to throw a house party involving alcohol and drugs, notably cocaine. Liam, the baby, is only 3 at the time and of course receives the treatment he always does, no attention from his siblings. Midway through the party, the family realizes that Liam is on the floor, unresponsive, because he somehow got into the cocaine that Fiona left out. As a result, Fiona gets thrown into jail for child endangerment and possession. This throws the family into an absolute spiral for several episodes because Liam almost died due to Fiona's recklessness, as she is supposed to be the responsible adult. Without their sole income provider and head of the household, Fiona, the other 5 children are forced to work extra hard to make ends meet. Once Fiona gets out of jail a few episodes later, she decides to turn her life around and become a legal guardian for the children. She goes on to even own her own business and focuses on what is important in life, raising her siblings to be the best version of themselves. Although heartbreaking, every member of the Gallagher family learned valuable lessons from this conflict and grew from the incident into a better, stronger people, which is a fantastic example of the conflict theory.
The conflict theory is strongly demonstrated within the family dynamics of the Gallagher family and Shameless through their many hardships with poverty, family hardships, and existential circumstances. We applied this theory to 3 scenes throughout the series that portrayed how conflict in family, organizations, and society can yield positive outcomes for all 3 institutions due to a sense of community, working towards a common goal, and learning valuable lessons the hard way. Every single different family member has had conflict with one another and the outside world, yet they always realize at the end of the day that they are stronger fighting their battles together. We couldn't challenge the conflict theory regarding these examples even if we tried, because throughout every conflict the Gallaghers got stronger, even if it took a little more time than they would have liked. The conflict theory is completely applicable to Shameless because it states that conflict is essential for growth and the betterment of families and societies.